So as you guys have noticed, there has been 2 weekends in September that I haven't been on live. So I'm back. And now we are in the month of October. So we're going to give you guys updates of what is going on around the world, well, especially here in the United States. There's a lot of updates to cover. And especially with this COVID now that is coming back again and it's becoming a hot topic again, as we are hitting on to the fall season. And you guys know what comes on normally with the fall season. As you guys are aware, the flu season, the allergy season, all of that combining with COVID. And I'm going to start off talking about, the presidential debate, some of my little cues here and there that I want to update you guys with. And then I'm going to go on to the VP debate. And then I'm going to go on to some of the restrictions that are lifted in some of the states. And also, what are new norms with COVID-19, especially this fall, now that we are here with COVID-19. So it has been predicted that there was supposed to be a second wave of COVID-19. So now let me start with the presidential debate. I'm pretty sure everybody watched that debate, and it was funny. It was funny in a way. So I don't know if you guys have seen like all the Snapchat that are going around with the baby Trump and the baby Biden just going at it. And that picture was just going all over social media. I thought it was so hilarious. And that really sums up the whole entire debate. Because in the debate, like these two guys were just going at it, including Chris Wallace in the middle as the third party. So some of the things that I'm going to point out that I was at, a friend of mine called me and said, what did Trump mean by stand back and stand by? So this message really stirred up the media and really got a lot going on, of course, on Trump on that. So Chris Wallace, who was the mediator between both presidential, asked Trump to condemn the white supremacists. Saying that, Biden has been condemning the Antifa or the far left. And then Trump responded saying, Proud Boys, stand back and stand by. And the argument went on as Trump was saying, someone got to do something about the Antifa. And Biden responded to that saying it was an idea, is not entirely something to condemn. So what I could say to that is we're discovering all of these different groups that are existing here in the United States. The first thing we knew a long time ago with the white supremacists, right? And then then this year, along with COVID-19, Antifa came about, anti-fascists, BLM, and NFC, and all those other different organizations. So there's a lot of organizations going on right now in the country that are taking part in our society and in our behaviors as well, So what Trump meant by stand back, and stand by, I'm not sure what I can really say much to that, because there's just so many battles going on both sides. There's a racial issue, there's a separation issue, there's people trying to speak up on their own personal, personal ways. And so both presidential argued very well and they debate very well. And their arguments pretty much kind of left us all in the middle. Like, where do we stand at this point? Isn't this about the people? Isn't this about the people of the United States? What exactly are the plans, But I think Americans now finally understand so well that a lot of these politics that are going on between the Democrats and the Republicans are more within the White House issues. And they just had to let it out on each other, And the media, the mainstream media, definitely play a huge role on what goes on in the White House as well. And, of course, Trump said he has to be aggressive, based on all the people he was, dealing with and things like that, and try to change and clean up the White House. Now, there are some people that believe Trump is actually opening up a lot of corruption, a lot of immortality that is going on in this society, not just only United States, but also around the world, Meanwhile, while Joe Biden pretty much got out of his sleep, and on that debate, he was pretty wide awake. It was like, wow, we had no idea Joe Biden could actually speak, But I'll say some things on that on Joe Biden's side. There are some plagiarism there, because all of a sudden now they're changing the rules and regulations to what they have been telling the people of the United States before, based on things that Donald Trump has been saying for the longest, As far as voting, Joe Biden went and told people and said, hey, go out and vote on the day of voting. Go out and vote, That's the message Trump has been saying for a very long time. And Joe Biden is now using that message as well on his platform. So, this is what I said to some of my friends, and I was just like, they're both Americans, but America is divided between two parties, and that's causing the people and the citizens to be divided as well. So either at the end of the day, if whoever wins is definitely going to do their job, okay? Even if the Democratic win and runs the House, or, they got the White House, they're still going to do their job. They're going to do their part, because now their reputation is on the line. So they're going to make sure that they actually look good, that they're going to do good, So on that end, it's really not that much of a difference on who wins. But of course, if Donald Trump wins, Donald Trump has been highly rated on the economic growth, economic development. Now, even jobs are coming back. There are places now that are hiring. So most people that have been staying home, now you can go out and look for a job. Many jobs are open. Some of the states are relifting their restrictions so that these small businesses, local businesses, can bring back their employees. So Trump is a businessman. He is really great when it comes to economic. So now it's really up to the American people to really decide, like, who do they want, as their president? Because now we are only few days away. Right now it's October. Yes. Oh my gosh. Less than a month away from the election. So the day of the election, go out and vote. Okay. And if you have an absentee ballot, go ahead and mail that in as soon as possible, because now there's a recall that some of the absentee ballots are being sent back. And if they are sent back to you, then at least you have enough time to make any corrections and send it back to Florida. So it can be counted during the time of the election. And also, for a lot of you that are voting by mail as well, now is a good time to do it. Now is a good time to start. So send in your ballots, your request ballots. And in case if there was a signature missing, or some kind of information that rejected your ballot, then at least there's enough time for it to come back to you. And so you can make the correction and send it back. So that's some of the new update I'd like to give you guys on there about the voting. But I would say start voting now, because the time has come, especially if you're going to request a ballot or you're going to use an absentee ballot. Other than that, go out and vote on the day of the election. We probably need to have a straight answer and see what's going to happen once and for all. Who's going to run the country, and what kind of rules are they going to implement on the people of the United States? So that's the importance of that. Now, going on to my next topic, of course, we have watched another debate, which was the vice president's debate. Okay. I was pretty looking forward to it. I was really excited. I watched the whole entire debate, and it was a little bit less argumentative than the presidential debate. But they both did a really wonderful job, keeping their calm and not really going too much at it, at least for the citizens to be able to articulate their conversations. So, but of course, if you guys have seen in the mainstream media, what did they pick up most of Kamala Harris? The body language. So Newsmax, which is one of the platforms that is being used, is now really investigating on body language of Kamala Harris. So they even had a professional who understands body language and why people use a certain body language and what they actually means. So with Kamala Harris, yes, he had a lot of body language, giggling and laughing and kind of, here and there. And to be honest, it didn't really click to my mind until it actually hit the mainstream media. And so whether that meant really good or that the Democrats are, being called out for their lies or anything like that, we will know. But of course, again, the Americans have their own judgment now that they have seen the debate. But I can also say Mike Pence was pretty calm. He was straightforward the whole time, just talking, without much of a body movement. So there's really not much that they're criticizing on that. But I say, as far as some of the things that were pointed out, let me pull up my notes. So they spoke about the fracking, as Mike Pence, said to Kamala Harris and asked, are you guys going to be wrapping up the Supreme Court? So there's a huge battle right now with the Supreme Court. Okay, that's one of the biggest in the United States White House. So the truth are starting to come out to the open of what is going on inside the White House. And the more these debates come out, the more we are able to see and actually make accurate decisions on who we're going to vote for. Okay. And since Kamala wasn't really going to answer it, Mike Pence just slammed it in and said, yes, they are planning to wrap up the Supreme Court. So whether it's true or not, us here, we just have our ears open and watch with our jaw drops as all these debates go on. And another thing that was one of the highlight is that Susan, who was the mediator between the VP debate, decided to ask the questions about the BLM movement and oppose it to both VP to answer their questions. So Kamala Harris, said what the American people wants to hear, as far as, the justice not being served to Breonna Taylor and all the other Black people that have died or killed in the hands of white men and still did not get justice to be served. But one thing I wonder, she didn't mention George Floyd. Well, no, she did mention George Floyd, but the main platform of the BLM is they're going around saying, say his name, say her name. So she said Breonna Taylor's name, but did not say George Floyd's name. But anyway, that was one of the highlights that really caught my attention. Not that I really, have much to say on that, but knowing that George Floyd's death was the beginning of all of these so-called racial issues that is going on across our country. And Mike Pence, who is on the Republican side for Donald Trump, said his name, said George Floyd's name. And, and said, he trusts the system. He trusts how they judge the whole verdict and the jury's decision. And George Floyd got justice, and the whole world knew about that. The way he died and was prosecuted in front of all of us, he definitely has his justice. And with Breonna's case, the neighbor got justice. So that really rings up a lot of bell there. So now, going on to the next update news. Of course, the only thing that is trending right now was Trump getting COVID-19. Who would have ever thought our president of the United States would have COVID-19? Even when I woke up that one morning and with the news notification on my phone saying Trump got COVID-19, it almost seems like a joke or a prank for a second, But of course, throughout the day, that was all the mainstream media was talking about. So it just dropped everything else that was going against Trump because they were so busy talking about stand back and stand by. Proud Boys were coming up and saying a lot of what they had to say. They were pissed off and upset that they were even compared to the white supremacists or Nazis. And also with the debate and all that stuff. So was Trump having COVID-19? That just shut out all the other mainstream media. And now everybody's focusing on Trump getting COVID-19. And there were a lot of people that really showed sympathy towards the president and, giving out their solidarity and also praying alongside with the president. And I thought that was really amazing. That was very moving. Because I mean, he is the president of the United States. So it's like a moment where we're all freaking out. Oh my God, we're not going to have a president, you know, because COVID-19, it is portrayed as this really terrible, deadly virus that is airborne and everybody's just dropping like flies. So with Trump getting COVID-19, that put everybody on the edge for a moment. Even I wasn't very worried because I know Trump is a fighter, just seeing all of his debate and everything he has been saying and speaking to the people and constantly going on rallies and things like that. He's a fighter and he works really hard. He works a lot. So him COVID-19, I'm just like, he got this, you know? Maybe it was God willed for Trump to actually go COVID-19. It didn't really hit me in any negative way. And I'm just like, oh, okay, Trump got COVID-19. Perfect. Maybe this will settle or bring out a lot of different answers about COVID-19, which is my next thing that I'm going to go to with it, why we call this the new norm with COVID-19. So with Trump getting COVID-19, people are watching, okay? Not only that he got the most highest hospitals, and they also tried different drugs on him to make sure that most of them work, even remdesivir, the one that Trump was praising on earlier in the time. And they also, they hospitalized him because his oxygen level was very high. So he wasn't in a good state for like 2 or 3 days based on the doctors that came out and spoke on Trump's health issue. But they didn't really give too much deeper detail about the critical care that he got. But we can all see that he had like a really good, phenomenal care. So now whether it is the care that actually made him recover quicker, or is him fighting the virus that made him recover quicker? And with all of us seeing that, at least, you know, for all of those that put all of their hopes and all of their lives and souls on governor, this is your answer. I guess if our president can recover from it, then I'm pretty sure anybody has the ability to fight this virus and be able to recover from it. But then again, we're all humans. We're all different. We all have different underlinings. Some of us are healthy. Some of us are not. So still pretty much take precaution on that. So that's the update on that. Trump is doing well right now. He got out, you know, he didn't even finish his quarantine, the 14 days. Now the 14 days is down to 10 days. So if anyone has COVID-19 or showing symptoms or they're sick, they have to quarantine for 10 days, okay? So he came out of that less than 10 days as far as what we all see. And now I'm gonna go forward on to the COVID protocols. So what are the protocols now that we are in fall? What are we expecting to see change in the next few months as we go forward to our new norms and how we can live our life in this society with COVID-19? So there's on social media, there's a hashtag going around called super spreaders. That's really the sign that people just have given up at this point, you know, and don't really want to be under restrictions anymore, you know. So right now, this is the season where a lot of activities are going on. We have, you know, fashion weeks all over, New York Fashion Week, LA Fashion Week, Minnesota Fashion Week, all these fashion weeks happening. And a lot of them has been virtual. And also some of these events was like the harvesting, the maize, the cornfield, the pumpkin hunt, and things like that. Those has been going on too. Now going forward in the next few days, what's going to get more chaotic is people are going to start shopping. They're going to start running into as many sales as they can for the holiday, for the Christmas holiday. Because we're like only 2 or 3 months away now from the major American holidays. So we're just going to watch close and see how that turned out. But right now on October, beginning of October, we're starting to see people just don't really follow the restrictions anymore. You know, a lot of the places where, you know, there's really not that much social distancing and face masks being worn at all time. So it really tells the world that, I mean, what can you really do at this point, Many businesses have lost their businesses. Many venues and restaurants and bars have already gone out of business, and a lot of them will never recover again. So the only thing left is saving the remnants that is left, in order to keep our economy flowing going, and in order to keep our industrial, society going, because that's what makes America great. Um, so that's the hashtag going around, super spreaders. So it's a super spreader season. And looking at the COVID rates, today we had total of 1,500 cases confirmed here in Minnesota. Okay. So my only question that I didn't really understand is the COVID cases are going up. Even in other parts of the United States that has been hit really hard, in the earlier in the year, are going up as well. But then the schools are going back to full capacity. They're going back to full time. So that kind of contradicts the situation there. So, but anyway, I don't want to push it too far because, it is, I guess, like Trump said, it is what it is. And also, I want to give a little update on the Florida COVID protocol. And I think this is like an opening door for the whole rest of the states in the United States. I mean, I wonder how it's going to affect the rest of the states, because Florida is the first state that I know that has lifted all of their restrictions. Okay. So here's the update. Florida governor lifts all COVID-19 restrictions on businesses statewide. This update was released on September 25th, 2020, allowing restaurants and bars in the state to now operate in full capacity. So there it is. That's the news. That's the breaking news. Florida just pretty much went back to normal life and pushed COVID-19 out the door. Now, there's still that two sides of the story. There's people who are still like super scared in the fear and, wanted to make sure that, let's keep the restrictions on because many Americans are going to die. And then there's that side that is like, it is what it is. It's a virus, and, we have to keep going. It's life, right? So this Florida Governor Ron said he is also lifting all restrictions on businesses statewide that were imposed to control the spread of the virus that causes COVID-19. So based on what he said, every business has the right to operate. Some of the locals can do reasonable regulations, but you can't just say no. So it's a good judgment. It's a really good judgment, and it's a fair judgment because people are adults. They have the ability to do what they need to do in order to protect themselves, And a lot of people are capable of setting up regulations and following regulations, keeping that social distancing as much as they can, and also, wearing face masks as needed, as everybody knows their health. So if you're one of those people that have underlying issues and you're not healthy, then do not expose yourself to those things. Stay away, for the sake of your own health. And I'm pretty sure those people understand that, like, okay, I'm not healthy. I'm not going to go out there. So I'm not even going to, expose myself to those things. And that's good. That's what you want to do, But then there are people who are the carriers or asymptomatic or who are operating very well with COVID-19. And those people can go out there and operate their business, And if you're an asymptomatic or you had COVID before and you recovered over it, whether you get it again the second time or not, or it comes back and hits you harder, like malaria that we get in Africa, we don't know. But it's definitely best to wear face masks as much as possible. So, and I believe, if the virus has mutated so much enough, that it's supposed to, it hit really strong in the beginning, took all the people at once, and then it starts to get weaker and weaker and weaker. So at this point, it would be weak enough that everybody is either immune to it or is not gonna really send you to the hospital or death. So that was that. And he said fines and other penalties imposed to FAR would be suspended. So if a business person or anybody or an employee that is operating their smaller local businesses, they won't be fined. They won't be fined for it. So all of that restriction has been completely lifted so that they can go ahead and set their regulations, follow the rules, and operate in full capacity. 100%. So now that's what you call respect for humanity in my perspective. And I believe that, we do have to respect, people's way of life, because we all here in this world where we are trying to make a life and live, not have the virus be worse than the cure, or the cure be worse than the virus. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but in another way is you're going to lose everything, and then you end up out in the street in the poverty, and you are poor, and maybe you have children and you have no way to feed them. I mean, is that better than making your own judgment on how you can operate your business or go about society in the world? So I feel like, the governor of Florida has pretty much laid that out straight. So there's your answer to it. And even here in Minneapolis at the Nicollet Mall, there's a lot of poor people. I have never seen so many poor people in Minnesota, especially the United States alone. I mean, you see it in third world countries, but here there's just people out there in the street. Even in the suburban area, like Shakopee or Eagan, Apple Valley, there's more and more people. Like there's at least someone every day begging for something to eat or for their next meal, and things like that. So it's not fair for, the governors or the rulers or anybody else to play God on how we should survive in this world. There's some people who can handle the virus and will survive. There's some people who cannot handle the virus and they will be left from this world, And, we say like earlier when the outbreak comes, it's all about your health. You take care of yourself and your body has everything it needs to fight all these existing elements on Earth. There's nothing new in this planet, There's nothing new that we don't know. We're just human beings discovering different things and new things all the time. And whenever something new happens, we get to learn it, we get to live with it, and we get to learn how to operate and run and la with it, And then if it comes again, we're prepared, or at least we know how to prevent it, But as a human being, our body is made in a way to handle the things that has already exist in this planet, things that we don't know. Viruses is completely out of human control. Now, whether they went and play God and mix it up in the lab and then it became a big backslash on them, well, then I guess their agenda has passed, So usually it means there's a plan. But things that happen naturally, like all the other diseases we have gone through, H1N1, swine flu, SARS, COVID, and MERS, and malaria, and other normal diseases that we also get in Africa and other third world countries, our body has the ability to fight these diseases. You have to be strong. As soon as you know that you are affected and you are getting sick, fight it. And stay away from any negativity and don't let anything bring you down, because negativity, stress, all that bad side of health is what brings your immune system down and gives the virus room to fight even stronger. So you never want to be defeated, Always look at us as the winner. Yeah. All right, continue on. Currently, Miami-Dade, Broward, and other counties in South Florida have locally imposed limits on the hours bars can operate and how many customers they could serve indoors. So they're allowing the people to make their own judgment on their regulations, like I said earlier. And then for those who are concerned as well, and here's what they have to say. We're hoping that the governor will allow us to have deeper restrictions than the rest of the state. we have a greater spread of the virus in South Florida than other parts of the United States. Yeah, that's another side of the argument. So it all depends on where do you want to stand at. Do you want to stand on fear or do you want to stand on thriving? You know? So these people who are probably standing on fear, you know, whatever you fear for other people, you know, you could do that for yourself as well, you know, because people are capable, you know. Like God said, I did not give you to match. I did not give you fear. I give you power, but not fear. Okay. There's a scripture about that. I'm not saying it, you know, straightly, but, and it's true. You know, if you manifest in all these positivity things, you will be able to conquer fear and be able to move forward in life. If we keep holding back and keep having shutdowns, second waves, all of these other things, for how long are we going to be sitting with COVID? You know, the recession has already been so worse in the United States that it's causing so much chaos that the cities are being burned down and all of these madness that are happening in the country as well, with the election just around the corner. Things could get really worse, you know? So I think it has already gone so bad enough to the point where now we just need to let God be God, you know, is what I would say with it. And now here are some of the reasonings. So the number of the coronavirus in Florida has dropped since mid-July. Now, these were some of the data that were given by the doctors based on their analysts and things that they have observed throughout the whole entire show. Since then, we've actually seen more economic activity, more interaction. Schools have opened. All the theme parks are open. More people have visited. Hospitalization for COVID-19 statewide are down 76% from the peak. Wow. That's a huge drop, 76% from the peak. So we went up that curve. And now that peak that we had, all of a sudden we're like down here and then beep, it's just steady. So that's a good sign. That's a really good sign. I mean, then what are these people fearing of, or what are we complaining about? You know, even the death rate mortality has completely dropped. I know here in Minnesota, just kind of looking over at the world meters information on COVID-19. So as of today, October 10 is, so in California, they're getting their high rates of COVID-19 to 1,700 a day, but their death rate is 39 today. So that's a huge dramatic rate from the first wave that we had. And then Texas has also one of the highest COVID confirmed cases, 2,800. And their results are in death is 63. So going down the list, they're definitely around the 10s and the 20s and the 30s, no more than that, as far as like the death rates across the United States. Even though the COVID confirmed cases are in their thousands and 2,000s. So the rate has really dropped from the peak, so which is good. It's a good sign. And I think we should all celebrate on that we are pretty much coming towards the good news of, you know, getting back to some normality in life. Minnesota alone today has 1,500 confirmed cases and 10 has passed away. So with Minnesota having now really high COVID tests per day. And of course, blame it on Trump because he was here on Wednesday. And with that rally, people are being more confirmed. So, but anyway, I'm not saying that's the case. But we went from like our normal 500 per day to now 1,500. And who knows, maybe in the next couple of days, I'll keep watching it closer if it stays at that steady rate. But if our death rate and the mortality rate stays low as it is, it's a good thing. So I mean, we have really gone over our most devastating time and all the sorrows and the funerals that we had to go through. And now that it won't be extremely as bad as it is, it's kind of like the recovering season of COVID-19. Um, Now, continue on to what last thing that the government said. He said he see no signs of possible second wave of infections, but said that hospitals have plenty of capacity. And the state is ready to respond if one emerges. There are no restrictions on the number of people who can attend outdoor sporting, even events in Florida, according to the government, who added the state hopes to the host that he called a full Super Bowl in Tampa in February. So, um, so yeah, there's that open door that, if someone was to get sick, there's beds available and things like that. But same thing I have been hearing here. I have a couple of friends and people that works in the medical field, and when the COVID number goes up, and you kind of wonder, like, is it flooded yet? Or is there a lot of people there? Like how the mainstream media like put us in that severe pain in the beginning, or I mean fear in the beginning. They said, no, it's empty. So there's barely people there. Like people are going in to get tested. And if you are confirmed COVID, quarantine for 10 days. But most people are recovering from it at this point. So, which is a good thing. So I guess our new normal with COVID-19 is knowing that you got the flu, you got the allergy, and you got COVID. Is like having malaria in Africa, and you just fight it until you get over it. So stay safe, everyone. Now with all the season of all this activity going on and the shopping coming soon, stay safe. Stay at home if you're sick. We're all in the same storm together, and we're all affected by the same storm together. And whether it is you being affected with COVID-19 or you losing your income and don't have anything to feed your children, or dealing with starvation, or your kids not going to school, or parents not being able to work because their kids can't go to school, or things like that, we are all still affected in different ways with COVID-19. And I just want to get that point across, because of course, we still have to look after those that are sick and those that are vulnerable and those that are elderly people who are weak in this. But I've seen elderly people that are strong fighters. They are fighting this, There's a lot of elderly people who are very healthy and doing a really amazing job fighting COVID-19. So let's just not forget that, there are still middle-class people and younger people, even children, that are suffering as well with COVID-19. And that's how we're all affected. And whether you're affected in other sources that are caused by COVID-19 or you have the COVID-19 itself, okay? So that's something we have to undermine and acknowledge that everybody's affected in different way, So we're all in a struggling bubble where we're just trying to survive and make it. We already exist in this earth, so we gotta fight to make our place and to keep our place. So all right, so that's all the update with politics and COVID and all that is going on. So I hope now you guys have all the update. With Florida being fully uplifted from all restrictions, we're just going to watch what's going to happen to the next state, until all of a sudden the United States is back to full operating. Minnesota is still that 50% capacity and still follow the guidelines, but it seems like people are not really following it. They're just fed up and tired of it at this point. I mean, what can you do? There's a time in our life we can get used to something, but then there's a time we just like, let it go. So it is what it is. Moving on. So the entertainment business and the fashion industry. So now that we had fashion weeks from, let me start with fashion week from LA. Okay. And it went phenomenally great. This is my first time actually seeing a virtual fashion show, and I'm pretty sure it is for all of us. And when I saw my designs go on the runway at the Fashion Community Week, By the way, shout out to them because those are the people who showcase my collections in their event. So they had this like square room with all these white linens around it, and the models are just coming out. Some have face masks, some didn't. But I thought it was beautiful. It was a really brilliant idea. And they stream it live virtually, so everyone was able to watch it on Facebook and Instagram, all social media. And the video still stays there, so that you're able to share it. So I was kind of busy, promoting and sharing that right before my show went on. And then also with the New York Fashion Week, pretty much everything went virtual. Because we're still getting over how bad New York was extremely hit from February, which happened right after the time of the Fashion Week in February. And I remember, being a part of it as well. I mean, I wasn't physically there in New York, but some of my designs were there and were worn by a fashion influencer currently living in New York. Now he's an activist for BLM. But now with this fall fashion week in New York, everything went virtual. Even Project Runway are still figuring out a set date to host their next season. Season 19 is the next thing they were supposed to host. So they haven't, announced any update, but they're still working on it. And I guess if they're gonna, do virtual, and how they're gonna keep all the designers and the competitions in the house and things like that. Yeah, so we're still waiting for all those protocols. And now here, back to home, Minnesota, home sweet home. We just had Minnesota Fashion Week, and it went successfully well. There was a couple of shows. There really wasn't a lot of shows due to COVID-19 and all these, fear of the restrictions and things like that. But the shows that made a lot of highlights that are being most talked about now in Minneapolis, of course, was Newbie Ultimate Runway, Fashionopolis, and Black Fashion Week Minnesota, who has some of the designers display at the Galleria Mall. So if you haven't been to the Galleria Mall, it is open until the rest of October. You'll see these beautiful different designs and garments with designer having their own talent and creativity, and they are displayed by the window. So Newbie Collections is one of the designs displayed on there. It is a silver Catagracious wedding dress. So I haven't been there yet, but I'm planning on going there, and then we'll have a live stream chat, or talk about the fashion, where the fashion is heading now, as far as with COVID, and what has COVID done to change the fashion industry, not only fashion, but the whole entertainment industry as well. And so Newbie Ultimate Runway was a success. The show went great, and some of the protocols that were followed there, everyone was screened at the door, and we had face masks at the door. So in case anybody didn't have a face mask, they had a face mask there. And everyone was escorted to their seats, and most of them came in groups. So they were seated by group, and then there's a space of chair, and then the next group, and so on. So it was an indoor event that was held at 5 Event Center. And the models did a phenomenal job. So there were about 23 models, and once the whole show started and everything started, the model getting their dresses, that's the moment everybody pretty much don't have their control of social distancing. So it's impossible to keep in social distancing. But in overall, it went well. It has been past the 10 days quarantine, and everybody is still doing well. So I'm very happy to hear that result. So thank to God. And because this is a virus or something that we can only do what we can. And so that's what happened there. And then Fashionopolis, which was a few weeks ago, was held outdoor, and it was beautiful. It was amazing. I watched some of the live stream there. I didn't get to go there personally. I wanted to go and check it out. But it was well put together. The runway was long, and the people were sitting in their chairs 6 feet apart. There's like a table, and then another table, all 6 feet apart. And I thought it was the most beautiful, creative way to follow the guidelines and the protocols as well. So it was another successful show there as well. And then other than that, let's wait till spring, see how fashion is gonna go here in Minneapolis. And I think now all of us have learned a total different experience, with the fashion industry and how we can move forward. So the new norm, and I believe, a lot of these setup that have been put together for some of you guys that have canceled all of your events, at least you'll have an idea, check out some of the protocols, some of the people that have done their virtual or even their indoors fashion show, so you can get a glimpse of idea how you can continue your show next year. But other than that, fashion world is important because that's where the happiness lies and all the joys and the beauty and all the things that makes us happy as a human being. And we need to keep that happiness going in order to even fight the COVID-19 even more. Yeah, that was pretty much my motto there. But yeah, other than that, let's all share the wonderful things we can contribute in this world. Okay. Whether it's just making somebody smile the next day, or just sending out positive vibe. I'm going to give a shout out to some of the models. Dawn Marie, who is about to be a YouTuber very soon. She speaks on motivational messages, and they're really worth listening to. It's like if you have a bad day and you just open up her page and listen to her motivational words, it just makes you forget your problem. So we need to be out there as a way to help fight this COVID as well, and also to stay positive and to know that we are still human beings and we need that happiness of us in order to get us going. It can't be just all fear and depression and death and sorrow. Okay, that's all bad there. But now where's the good side? Dress up, look good, hang out with your friends, have some little social here, and speak to some people that will give you some good advice. We have been isolated for so long, and now it's time to really just encourage one another. This is the moment for it, and we don't want to get too deeply drowned in all of these problems that are also coming up as well, as far as America with the whole racism and problems like that. We are all people of color in a black and white world. Yeah. But don't let it get to you. So we're all human beings. We're all capable of something. We all have the good and bad side of ourselves as well. It's up to you how you want to carry that out. So that's my message to you all. Thank you for watching. Watch from the beginning. I have some really good information for you guys today if you just came in. Other than that, we'll see you again next Saturday here at the studio. Have a good night.